Welcome to this short animation on reproduction in Sargassum thunbergii. We'll begin with some key points about the species which you can see pictured here. The first thing is it's dioecious. It has separate female and male individuals, and so you need at least one of each kind before you can have sexual reproduction. The reproductive parts are borne on cigar-shaped receptacles, and they're called conceptacles. They're little pits in which the gametes develop. The plants also have gas-filled vesicles like a lot of Sargassum species, and that means if they become detached, they can just float off and maybe even reproduce somewhere else. And the germlings are retained on the surface of the receptacles for the first few days. That gives them time for rhizoids, root-like structures that glue them to the rocks, to develop, and also they get too big for several intertidal species to actually eat. Here we are inside a female conceptacle. These hairs that you can see there, they synthesize the plug, which is made of fucan, that keeps the water out. And those circular structures are oogonia, which will eventually become eggs. They're surrounded by several mucilage layers, as is the lining of the conceptacle. Now eventually the fucan plug disintegrates, and that allows water to enter the conceptacle. The mucilage layers begin to absorb that water and swell. And the oogonia also absorb water and begin to swell. This swelling squeezes the oogonia towards the hole or ostiole in the top of the conceptacle. Now around this time, the cells at the base of the oogonia begin to divide and make straps or stalks on which the oogonia sit. Eventually, the swelling continues and the oogonia are pushed and distort as they go towards the hole in the top of the conceptacle, and eventually they're pushed right out of the top of the conceptacle, but they're retained on their straps. Sometime around now, meiosis occurs, followed by mitosis, and that gives 8 haploid nuclei within each oogonium. We'll now look at the whole thing a bit faster and without me talking. Okay, meanwhile, in another individual that's a male individual nearby, we've got male conceptacles, and you can see inside there are what are called antheridial hairs. They're those purple structures you can see in the cartoon. The plug dissolves, the conceptacle fills with water, and then meiosis occurs in the antheridial hairs, and that's followed by multiple mitotic divisions. The layers on the surface of the antheridia now dissolve and lots of sperm emerge. They're biflagellated, they've got 2 flagellae, and as you can see they can swim around. Meanwhile, back at our female receptacle, there's an ovum sticking out on a strap there. There'd be lots in real life, but I've only drawn one. Our ovum now begins to release chemicals that attract the sperm towards it. This is not actually proven in this species, but other brown algae do it, and it seems very likely because in real life you don't get the sperm swimming towards the ova unless they're ready to be fertilized. There go the chemicals. Now, back at the male plant, this gets the sperm all jazzed up, as you can see, and they swim off towards the ovum. This one is now going to penetrate the ovum, and it's going to fuse with one of the haploid nuclei to make a diploid zygote. And at this stage, the remaining unfertilized nuclei disintegrate. Our zygote now begins to divide and grow, and after a couple of days, it's grown into a pear-shaped embryo. This embryo develops 8 little bumps on the base, and these will become rhizoids, the root-like structures that stick it to the rocks. The germlings continue to develop while they are attached to the receptacle until they get to quite an advanced stage. Water temperature is really important in determining how quickly this happens. Now, since they're retained on the receptacle until this late stage, when they're released, they're ready to attach straight away. They've already got some rhizoids, and they can grow really fast. And this renders them relatively safe from being grazed by animals such as this limpet, which tend to only eat algae when they're very small. As you can see, the limpet doesn't really approve of this, so it's going away now. And then our Sargassum thunbergii plants will grow in happy and blissful abundance. Thank you very much for watching.